Alright guys, kind of slow in the shop today. Welcome to the channel, by the way. I'm Jimmy, we're making it work. If you're new here, got the project truck going today because the shop is slow. There's not a single customer. It's 2 days after the hurricane. So I'm going to work on the truck a little bit so that everything will be dry for Sunday so I can try to put the bedwood back in. Today, I'm going to do the rhino lining and I'm going to do the satin clear on the wood. So stay tuned. Easiest way to do it without the bedwood in there. You don't have to tape off a lot. I just don't want to get rhino lining or bed liner, whatever you want to call it, on the back of the cab and on my wheels and tires. And I'd rather not get it on the gas tank, even though you won't see it. I'll know I painted it. So a little bit of tape under here. Beautiful day today, by the way. Every time we get a hurricane, not that we get tons of them, but every 5 years or so, but it's beautiful a couple days afterwards. I think it's 70 degrees right now today. Rhino lining is really a brand like a Q-tip and a cotton swab. I've already off camera, I already wiped this down with wax and grease remover, and there was some Bondo flaking up here. I don't know why they put body filler in here, and I just ground it all smooth so it'll look a little better with the rhino lining on it. Yeah. Start shaking some rhino lining cans and get this thing going. Got to shake these really good. I don't think I'll do. Start from underneath inside the bed where I can't get to from outside too easy. Now if this was a show truck that was already painted, of course, you'd have to mask off the whole truck because little speckles of the stuff will go everywhere. But, as you guys have heard before, this is not a show truck. Well, kind of is, but not the standard kind. This stuff's not very thick. I should really be wearing my mask. Let me get my mask. It's just a paper mask, but still, you don't want those particles in your lungs. We'll get some more of this done, we'll come back. Alright. I sprayed the 2 cans of the cheaper stuff I sprayed first to do the first coat. I let it run a little bit over here. I did it really fast. Standing in the middle of that with only this little crappy mask is probably not a good idea. I can smell it, which means the mask is barely doing anything. It's going to catch heavy particles, but not the vapors. So I'm trying to hold my breath and spray. And I got the better can of pro-grade stuff. Has the regular wide spray nozzle on it instead of the fine mist nozzle. So I'm hoping to put a second coat with this on, and it'll show some texture. The first couple of cans look like heavy black paint. Makes me a little bit sad, but that's all right. Hopefully this one will go on better once this dries, about 15 minutes. All right, this stuff's spraying way better. Now it actually looks like a rhino lining. It's got the texture to it, so. I only have 1 can of this one, so I gotta be a little more ginger with it. Of course, if I have to, I can get some more, but it's 22 bucks a can. Uh-oh, I think the tip clogged. I still feel weight in there. Give me the rest. Makes me feel better. All right, I'm gonna finish this up and we'll come back. I got my semi-gloss from Napa. So we're gonna start, I'm gonna use a tack cloth, make sure there's no dust or dirt on them. Like I keep saying, they don't have to be perfect, but I don't want anything nasty on there, right? Gotta make them look pretty decent. So I just go ahead and wipe it down with a clean tack cloth, just like you do when you're painting a car, because anything that's on there, the clear coat will kind of amplify it, although the satin's a little more forgiving. It's not as reflective, so it doesn't magnify. And the reason for using the low gloss is because it shows the wood grain better. A gloss will actually keep your eyes from seeing the wood grain as much. So we'll get this wiped down, and then I'll turn the camera back on when I'm gonna spray. I got my air hose laid out. I always take the air hose to the furthest place I'm gonna paint. I'm trying to route it so I won't bump into the boards and stuff. So I got it all the way over here. This is where I'm gonna start. I'm gonna lay it on pretty heavy. Gonna do 3 wet coats. Keep in mind, guys, I'm not wearing the correct respirator, but I'm outside and it's very windy. Probably still not smart. If you do this, wear the proper respirator. These masks help a little, but they don't really protect you. It's so windy that I have to go pretty close to the material to keep it from all just blowing away. And the first coat will kind of soak into the wood. By the way, this is one of my favorite spray guns. It's a Mac Tools spray gun. It's a phenomenal little spray gun. It's really made for like door jams and stuff, but it works so well and it's so reliable, it never gives me trouble, so I'm using it. Let me come over there and adjust you guys, because you don't want to watch me paint this whole thing. It's going to take about an hour and a half. That'll be a really long video. Put you guys on time lapse. Alright, I got one coat done. Now you got to let that first coat, give it about 20 minutes to gas out. If you start spraying a second coat too soon while the first coat's still tacking up, then you end up with bubbles coming to the surface on the next coat. So you got to be careful, let it gas out a little bit. When you can just touch it and not get a fingerprint and not get paint sticking to your finger, then you're ready for the next coat. So we're going to give this a 15 minutes to set up. Alright guys. Got 3 coats of clear. The last coat I went really wet until it started to look like it was going to start running off the sides. So, see, I'll show you how it looks here. Came out pretty good. It's a little glossier than I wanted. And of course there's a little bit of dust in it and stuff, which I expected that to happen, but after all, it's a truck bed. If I was building a really serious show truck, like I've said many times, then I'd have done these indoors with made myself a little paint booth or something like that, but it'll be good. I'll wipe them down when it sets up and it's completely hardened. Even with 3 coats, you can still see the grain. I'd probably have to do like 5 or 6 coats to make it so they look smooth on top, but you're really just sealing them from the weather. I also got my Rhino lining. The Pro Can did a much better job with texture on the back of the truck here. So now, this is Friday, the day after the hurricane left us. So we're just really slow. We just got a couple of stragglers coming in for oil changes and stuff like that. So I'm working on this during the day on Friday. Sunday I'm going to come and we'll continue this video and I'll start putting this bed back together. Part 2 coming up next. Alright guys, we're up here for part 2 of this video. This is a whole nother day. Oh, I'm glad that didn't tilt over. All my wood's stacked up on the cardboard, and apparently the floor got wet and the cardboard got soft. Started caving in, but luckily it hasn't tipped over yet. Anyway, let's continue this video on a part 2. We're going to start putting this wood in the truck now. It's really going to start to get fun. I bought a hole saw too to make a hole for the gas tank filler neck. Completely forgot about it. I was working pretty fast, so we're going to do that too. Let's get into part 2. Before I started in the truck, my son got carbon fiber mirror caps. So I had to pop the old ones off, pop these on, they just snap. And when you take the old ones off, I mean that literally, they snap. Basically these catches, because they're 90 degrees, and there's no way to get to them without taking the whole mirror apart. So I just basically force them off and they all break. But when it's not going back on, it doesn't matter. Cool carbon fiber. From 20 feet away, you won't even be able to tell, but it makes my son happy. Let's get on that truck, dang it. All right guys, let's start putting that wood in there. All of the bolts are individually bagged, polished stainless. The 5/16 bolts go around the outer perimeters, and all these little 1/4-inch guys go in between the boards just to hold the strips and the boards together. And of course there's nuts and washers. They're not in individual bags, and they're also not polished, so I'm guessing they didn't do it because it doesn't matter if they rub together a little, it won't affect the finish. I'm actually going to be cutting slots in 5 of these so I can screw them into the holes that I put the welded nuts into. If you remember when I modified the cross members, I was trying to eliminate some of the main bolts through the floor of the bed floor. I wanted to clean it up a little bit. So, but we'll do all that too. This one's already scratched, so it's an individual baggie, but it's got scratches all over it. But it's a pickup truck bed. I'm not going to complain to them and try to get a free bolt. Let's get these all unbagged. We'll go over and start putting the wood in. I got these lined up. This board goes in real easy. That back one, I still had to give it a little love. I did that off camera because I didn't want to be editing out the cursing and screaming. I didn't really do that. But I didn't want to be sad in front of you guys. So, this one goes in easy though. I got the bolts lined up. I use my little vessel screwdriver to line them up pretty good. Uh-oh, it's getting close now. Can you guys even see that? Oh yeah, you can see. I'm gonna work my way all the way around here. All right, let's go over here and get this piece in. I'm not gonna use my bolts yet. Just gotta lift the weight off of it. I got the spacers in there. I use these spacers while I did the rhino lining, keep everything lined up, and not only that, but if I move the truck a couple times, it helps the bed. I don't want the bed rattling around and stuff. So I put them in place for those purposes. It's a jam fit in the front of the cab, in the front of the bed, and the back of the bed just has weight on it. And once I get these bolts started, this cross member goes up under there to brace this wheel tub and to take away some gap from here. I'm using this wood whenever I got to tap on something. It's pretty close. Let's see if we can move it forward. All right, now I get my screwdriver in there. I'm using my my pretty beefy vessel. I think it's a P3. Now this is going to scratch the boards up just a tiny bit, nothing too crazy. Scratches are all going to be under the metal panels and the bolts and stuff, so we're good. Should be able to drop some bolts in there now. All right, I'm going to get these corners in, and I'll start filling the rest of the wood in, and we'll come back. I'm going to cut the hole for the filler. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to have to restain it. I might just paint it black around the gas cap. I haven't decided yet. Now we're going to do the wheel well boards, which I anticipated all along being the trickiest. But these ended up being the trickiest, at least in the initial installation. Now, the reason I left the bed loose at the back is so I can flex the wheel well up and get this underneath, right? That's the goal. Might not be perfect, but better with an assistant, but no one's here right now. So I do it unassisted. Like I do most of the time, self-assist. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. Perfect. That actually went quite a bit easier than I expected it to. I think I'm going to get my Phillips screwdriver. I think this has to go a little bit forward. The holes are all a little back. I've got my my Mayu pick. If the holes are way off, I'll use that to get them close. This lines them up the rest of the way. I just keep feeding this thing bolts and nuts and wood and washers and all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to do the other wheel well, and then I think the board after that is where I got to cut the gas cap. All right, guys, I've been working on the bed wood and the bed strips for quite a while. The little bolts, the 1/4-inch bolts, I'm just laying in there for now. You got to get underneath to get to the nuts and washers and stuff. Some of them just get a big flat washer. Some of them go through the cross member and can get a smaller washer. But I'm kind of sad. I should have worn my I'm sad shirt today. Because when I got this gas tank, I just assumed that the company that made it, when they said in-bed tank, they would make it so that it was in the center of a board, like here or here. Because there's plenty of room. The tank goes all the way across. They could put it in the center of any of these big boards. But they got it in between boards. So I kind of Sharpied a circle I got to cut. I bought a hole saw, a 4-inch hole saw, to cut into the board, not realizing I'm going to have to use a jigsaw and then sand it all smooth, and then I'm going to have to cut my metal strip, which makes me a little sad. So, but I'm working on my bolts now. See, I slotted the head of this bolt. I'm doing that now over here in the vise. I got the bolt mounted in the vise. I'm going to cut a slot, and then on the other side I got to grind the square edges off to make it round so it'll spin in that metal strip. I'd rather modify the bolts than the metal strip. I think it just makes more sense because you can change hardware easier than you can get one of these strips. So that's what I'm messing with now. I'm gonna make 4 more. I made the one. I gotta make 4 more, but I'm not gonna put any more metal strips until I get my gas cap hole sorted out. Dang it. I'm not tightening them down yet. I just want to get them close. They're kind of messing me up because I didn't realize it's going to be so rigid it doesn't let the strip move, so I can't adjust them. So it's kind of screwing with some of my adjustments. Hopefully Chip Foose won't fire me. I can't go any further with that. I made the other 2 for when I'm done here. Now I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I guess I got to I don't have a jigsaw here, I don't think. Let me see what I got. I might have something that'll work. It's not for the faint of heart, and if you don't have a steady hand, you probably don't want to try to do that. I have pretty steady hands, not rock solid, but close. It's going to be a little warm, but I'll be all right. Don't worry about me. Now I got to grind these little corners off. You know, hot rod stuff. That's what we're doing, hot rodish. These are going to be hot rod bolts. All right, I think I figured something out. I'll show you what I did up close a little bit. Cut it out with my little jigsaw, my air saw, and then I use my flapper discs to sand it and give it a little chamfer so I can get my hands in there. So let's do the other side. I'll show you that one. Wanted to make sure I could do it before I look like a dummy, because I have never done this before. Just got to figure it out, that's all. I'm gonna lay it over here past my truck bed. Maybe I'll turn off my microphone so it won't be so loud for you guys. See the little mark that the saw makes? Because of that little mark, I decided to try the chamfer, which I think that'll actually help when it comes to putting gas in it, getting the cap on and off, right? Now I just got to sand and contour it a little bit the way I like with my flapper disc. I think it'll be pretty close. I'm going to play with that some more and tweak it, and we'll show you what we come up with when we're done. Got to do a little finish work here by hand just to get some of the little, obviously a angle grinder and a flapper disc probably isn't the way to do woodwork, so it's not coming out perfectly smooth, so it will be in a second. A little bit of 40 grit, get it the way I like, contoured the way I like, and then I'll go over it with some 180 or something, and then we'll paint it. I could stain it, I suppose, and clear it. Maybe I will do that. It's going to take a little more time, but I think if I stain it, it'll look like the wood was all made that way. I'm going to play with this a little bit more, and we'll come back. All right, even doing a wood bed, you got to do metal work, so I'm doing cutting these metal strips now so that they fit the opening a little bit. The problem is going to be, I've got the wood tapered pretty good, and if I taper the metal too much, then you can see much more of the gap. So I'm probably going to have to leave the wood with a metal with a little less taper. Probably what I'll do is I'll take this edge down just a little more, because this one's pretty good. I'll take this back just a little bit more, and I think we're going to smooth them out and leave them there. Don't have a lot of options when it comes to that. I'm kind of disappointed that the filler neck wasn't in a different spot, but it is what it is. I'm going to probably drill a hole in this as well and have to get another stainless bolt. They came up pretty good with the slots. They're little, you can see a couple little nicks, but I think it looks a lot better than a 5/16 or a 1/4 inch, what is that, 11 millimeter or 7/16 bolt head wood. At least it kind of matches so your eye doesn't go to it and see a different kind of bolt. But anyway, let me finish cleaning this up, then I'll grab the stain and we'll do that. Now, since I'm a risk taker, I'm going to stain this without masking off the tank or the cap. Just using it very sparingly, not putting a lot on the brush. It's a disposable brush too, by the way. And as expected, it splatters a little bit. That's all right. It'll clean up. Well, maybe it won't. That's why they call it stain. Doesn't stick to the clear coat real well. Oh, I forgot I had a tether. All right. Caps got less stain and I got more stain on me, but that's all right. I could have pulled these pieces of wood back out, but I've had them in and out about 10 or 12 times now, so I don't want to take them out again. So I got a little lazy. That's all right. I have to get some gray paint. I put some metal etching primer on the edges where I sanded it, and I thought it would match a little closer, but it's just gray primer. This is like a zinc coating, so I'm gonna have to find a flat gray. That's how the pieces will go. Gotta let that stain set up overnight. Looks like the cap's further back, but if you lean a little bit further over it, it's not so bad. It is a little back, but that's because my hand's going to go in here. So I left room for my knuckles. Only my thumb's going back here. So I do have about a 1/4 inch further up the hole, just because it made sense for grabbing the cap. I could make it gigantic. I didn't want to make the hole any bigger than it absolutely had to be. I'd rather have it slightly offset than have otherwise the hole would be like that big. I didn't want to do that. Not that the truck's going to carry a lot of stuff, but in my head, I don't want it to stand out like a big giant hole. That's all. I'm gonna let this set up a little bit, and then I'll put some clear on it. I don't know if we're gonna do that tonight. Let's stick some bolts in here, and then we'll finish this up. All right, guys, final few bolts here, but I'm a little sad again. Other than the filler neck issue, because like I said, if it was a little bit off one way or another, I guess maybe they didn't do that because the board would be so weak when you cut it in the middle. Anyway, I'm missing 4 bolts. See my dilemma? Look at that. That's terrible. I'm missing 4 bolts. I got 2 extra 3/8 bolts, and I'm missing 4 1/4 inch bolts. I think they're 5/16 actually. 2 extra 5/16. I'm missing 4 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna have to find 4 1/4 inch carriage bolts in polished stainless. I'll probably contact the company that I got the kit from. They were like $30 less than everybody else. Maybe that's why you're missing 4 bolts. Made Taiwan, by the way. But anyway, that's it. Hope you guys think the bed turned out great. I'm loving it. I got a little bit more work to do. Gonna do the clear tomorrow after this dries overnight. And in the next video, we'll put on the tailgate, put the taillight wiring harness in, and put the taillights back in. I also got new hardware for the chains, and I'm gonna paint them silver again. I was gonna buy new chains. They're 60 bucks. They don't really serve a purpose other than looking new. These chains are still in good shape, but they just need to be painted. They're black. I'm gonna mess with the tailgate paint too. I think I'm gonna paint the Chevrolet on the tailgate, but we'll see. That's for another video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you'll torque the like button for me. Maybe subscribe if you want to see some more project truck videos, auto repair videos, tool reviews, all kinds of things like that. Anything automotive related. Hope I see you guys in the next video, because you're awesome.